nueva conversación vamos a platicar de cómo los diseñadores de estas nuevas generaciones cada vez más recurren a conocimientos ancestrales para reconectar con soluciones de la circularidad y los derechos sociales. Vamos a traer a la conversación cómo la mirada de las mujeres han traído una nueva visión a través de su perspectiva feminista al campo del diseño y también la arquitectura.
Quiero presentarles lo que ya les habíamos platicado mucho, este panel muy interesante de tres grandes arquitectas. Ya pudimos ver su trabajo, una disciplina que pues durante años ha sido dominada mayormente por hombres, por el terreno masculino, y ahora la perspectiva de las mujeres crea una visión distinta, una visión holística, una visión circular. Por favor, un gran aplauso una vez más para Gabriela Carrillo, Bárbara Buser, Gill Lambert, y se queda con ellas nuestra querida Marisol.
Gracias. Bueno, en realidad me siento muy honrada y emocionada de poder compartir este espacio con ustedes. It's an honor to be joining us this time with you. And just to start this panel, I prepared this question. Well, you know, architecture has historically been shaped by white men. Yes, no? So I believe today women's participations has enriched the conversation with their perspective and our own stories. No? So from your experience, what do you see as the most significant contribution of women in the context of collaboration and circularity within contemporary architecture?
As I said before, there is not enough contribution from women. There are almost half of the students are female in the architecture school, but afterwards in the profession they remain 10%. Sometimes I count them in a seminary and it's really disappointing.
It's true. I mean, I think that what Barbara is saying is right, and it is a pity, but it has to do not with all the system that is surrounding. We need to break this paradigmatic way we live, where we're stick to some way of acting, of living, and that is something very important, because if the circumstances around are not adequate for life to happen, to understand the caring systems and everything that is surrounding bearing and having kids, things won't happen easily. So I think it's more a responsibility from us, from all of us, to change and to take away all these supposed rules that we are attached to, and to start to think in a different way.
I'm going to be brutally honest. I think I've really put myself in a safe space with my practice. Kind of the way we work, the processes I was talking about. I think we're not really there's no gender kind of existing in a lot of the conversation we have. Our practice is over 50% women, and probably our clients as well. So I think I'm kind of I'm not trying to deny the serious problems that we're talking about. And I'm running a practice of 18 people. I'm a mum. I'm running around like a headless chicken, and I've escaped to Mexico for the week. I think we should go forward and be bold and, carve out that safe space. And, I want people to feel empowered.
I totally understand what you're already telling me. But to be honest, I sometimes feel like as a woman, as we are also shaped by white men in this system, I feel that we don't feel that power to expose what we already are making to. I understand that probably talking about circularity and collaboration is not enough, because our society and world is challenging huge problems and there's no comeback for change them probably. But I mean, to be honest, I really admire you, all of you. And from my perspective, I think that you already have made some changes. The way between a men team and women teams, there's a huge difference. And I believe, to be honest, that we don't need to feel shy about the perspective from our own stories. So I don't know, I would love to encourage you to don't be that shy. And I feel that we also are like, how can I say it, like educating to be a little bit shy. You're like a very relevant architect, so yes, please feel the courage. I'll say yes. In our teams, there are other ways to work. Yes, we are interested in caring and collaborating, because I am Mexican and I used to collaborate with many architects, to be honest, and I feel the difference between studies. I mean, they're very talented, but they're not very focusing. Not everyone. I mean, I don't want to sound rude or, but yes, I would like to produce, to say, some contributions that is sure that this diversity gender is bringing to the conversation.
Yeah, I think the difference is that we don't want to be as men. Well, not me. It's what we need is equity. And that needs to happen not only with women, it needs to happen with otherness that had been forgotten, as you mentioned before, with the indigenous people, with the kids. We have seen that with the old people, with the women, with the black women, with the, we have forgotten that we are diverse, and that's a strength, a really great strength that we need to consider. And that's the difference maybe between, men. It's that we want to pursue that. At least me, I believe that there's a very powerful strength of understanding that diversity. And I think we are at least me, in a very privileged condition. Mm-hmm. And that for sure has a responsibility. And I do need to communicate and I'm almost exhausted to talk about women, but I have done it a lot, but I think it's a responsibility to say, not to be scared at all. But really maybe you're not, but if the context, if the immediate context doesn't have the flexibility for you to do things, it's really complex. So I'm just now encouraging for everyone to be a team.
Yeah. I think there's another problem, and that's money. Because construction is very money intensive, and the power of money is in the man's hand. And as long as this power isn't shared, then we are still little exceptions. You have your nice practice, I have mine. And we are living in a bulb, and I don't know how big this bulb is. I think it's rather small than the way we experience it. Nice, but it is a small bulb.
It is.
Yeah. Oof. Well, I hate to bring up politics, but we need women at the top, don't we?
Yeah, and you're getting one. That's great.
Yeah.
Oof. It's becoming difficult. As you come from different experience and countries, you're experiencing Africa, Mexico, all of you are working in different countries. I would love to hear in which points do you think that your practice communicated, or, what can be the difference between this world is multicultural, each country has their own challenge, and obviously it's not the same to be in a very development country instead of developed country. Where can be the difference between your cultures area?
Well, for me, I think my work is a great opportunity to learn, as well as I'm a teacher because I learn for being, for sharing and discussing with my students and with these new generations. But I need to say that for me, there was a big change when I needed to design a library for blind people and seeing impaired. And I think it really shaken me because, again, I was taught to design for the eyes. And you mentioned that. We are always focusing on the eyes issue. And when suddenly you need to design for someone that doesn't see, it's a big question. It's suddenly how the senses, how's the life of these people, we stick to the idea that the life of the other is the same as ours. And that big challenge, I think, was a great impact for me to consider, I think, for the rest of my approach. And I need to say that just sitting, observing, and waiting and hearing was a great opportunity for the rest of my practice to keep developing whatever I do.
Yeah, as I said in my talk, I still take the experiences from Africa and try to compare with Switzerland.
Right.
And I must say that Switzerland is very backward, especially in the women question, because we are the last who got given by the men, we got the right to vote, which is incredible. But I'm afraid that there are people, women, who are in much worse conditions in all the Arabic countries, and that makes me very sad.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of my thinking happens on like a local scale, which is like the locality of the project, because we get like so like immersed and embedded in that. But even within those local kind of spheres of the project, like actually the stakeholders and people that we need to listen to, basically listen to people, are coming from all sorts of places. And I think if they're not in the room and they're not having their voice kind of and a presence, then that's like problematic for me. So yeah, I think we try and make sure that all our clients, not just the fabulous V&A, are kind of, we need to be open to that.
I mean, here are a lot of young designers, and sometimes, well, from my experience in Mexico, there's not a lot of awards or supports, government supports to develop your projects. And I don't know, I would like to hear from your side, what would you like to suggest to the younger generations to, I mean, it's just like the context, it doesn't sound in some way not that beautiful, it's a challenge context. So what would you like to suggest to young generations, women?
Should we do it the other way around?
Yeah, like to push harder. I mean, something that I at the morning I was talking with someone here that sometimes clients it converts in something very complicated to me, because they're bringing me money, what you were talking, but at the same time I always feeling that I am fighting in some way with them. They're looking at me because of the experience that probably social design might be able to bring them. But at the end, like my process doesn't fix that much with their last necessaries, needs, sorry. So in this case, do you have any suggestion for us who are still like fighting every day between the sustainable financial, social project, but is still trying to make change in a society?
Don't wait for a client to ask you to do it, first of all, because they might not, they might never. So yeah, and again, this thing about scale, sometimes quite small changes can have an impact. So it's not always about like, what's the budget or, the scale of the project. So I think, kind of start small and make it happen. And there's lots of different ways that you can do that, I think.
Yeah, in Switzerland we had an idea, and we were fighting for that everybody, every single person should get a basic salary unconditionally. And that would allow that you just engage in any volunteering job if you are ready to live on a modest way, or you can also earn more money and work more, but you can really do what you like, and you can support initiatives and build up projects and build up companies. And we got even to vote about it. And 30% of the Swiss voters were in favor, which is a big, big success. Of course, it didn't help because we need 51%, but it was a big discussion over 6-7 years, and I'm sure it will come up again.
Wow. Okay, in my case, I think I would say even though I'm in a very privileged condition because I really love to do what I do, where I'm still fighting and struggling with money and sustainable and sustainability. Somehow it's a big struggle. What I would say to young generations is that what we have in Mexico is crisis, and that is for granted. Let's see today, we have 2 hurricanes, microsismos, or I don't know how to say that in English. We're in the middle of crisis. We have violence, we have problems, but we are so powerful at the same time that through crisis we can see opportunities. And I think that it's the way you see things and the way you approach to things that can change. And I'm really optimistic about the power of design.
It was a pleasure.
It's a good place to finish. Thank you. Nice one.
I mean, it was like a very short time for sharing with you, but thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure. Por favor, un fuerte abrazo para las
Muy grande, por favor.
Muchas gracias por acompañarnos.